Hi, Gary Bunnell here. Well, I'm back from Tokyo and had a great trip. Really enjoyed meeting with everyone and reconnecting. And my team there is so wonderful. They take such good care of me. And my longtime interpreter, Yuri Ono, was incredibly good. She's always very professional. And so here I am. Thanks for watching this video. One of the things I like about the Q&A parts of presentations is that I have a very fixed train of thought for the most part. And what I mean by that is I tend to focus on a range of subjects and I don't go beyond that. And when I do a workshop, the questions I get take me out of that range, which is refreshing for me because I get to discover and I get to learn and go from there. So one of the things that came up on this trip was, why is there a state of desirelessness that's happening with so many people? And the answer to that is, there is a major shift in our collective consciousness that's happening. It actually began in the 10-year period between 2001 and 2011. And what really is happening is, when we're trained as children, excuse me, when we're trained as children, we're trained to begin to separate our thought and feeling. And, I remember as a kid being told, don't be a sissy, don't think about it, you won't feel sad, just, all those kinds of things. And, focus on what you want to do, what you want to achieve. And basically, what that does, it separates thought and feeling. And when you do that, when you separate thought and feeling, that gap, that void is filled with a sensation energy that we have labeled as desire. So what we do when there's that void is we seek outside to fill that void. So we have a vision, and then the desires that come up in relationship to that vision, we then begin to fulfill externally. This new period is bringing our thoughts and feelings back together in a now moment, not a past moment, not a future moment, but in the now. So in the now, our thoughts and feelings join, and that state of desire is no longer there. So unfortunately, in our modern world, that's often seen as a lack of ambition. When I was growing up, I would see people who had money and they would have new cars and they would have all this stuff, and I wanted that. It was like, that's what I want. And so I spent a good part of my life chasing that. And when you start meditating, when you start doing yoga, tai chi, qigong, pranayama, any of those spiritual practices, what that does is begins to diminish that internal space, that internal void, and you have less and less desire, and therefore less focus on the external. So when you're in now, you don't worry about tomorrow. You're in the now. And in the now, there's a freedom. You gain this profound sense of self, your essence, this aspect of you that is just uniquely you. And in the talks I give, in the presentations I give, I focus on people giving up the need to be right, giving up judgment. I often say that to gain enlightenment, you don't have to do meditation, you don't have to do pranayama, you don't have to do anything except give up judgment. And that's where all of these techniques that have existed for thousands of years ultimately take you, is to that space of inner self where you are not in judgment. So the shortcut is get rid of judgment. You get rid of judgment, you collapse that sensation energy within you that we call desire. So I enjoyed this last trip to Japan because that's where we really, really focused. And to quote a comedian we all know, Jerry Seinfeld, not that there's anything wrong with it. Judging doesn't bring you anything. Observing does. So as you begin to observe, you begin to realize not that there's anything wrong with it. You begin to realize that what we labeled as good and bad, positive, negative, you realize energy is just energy. There is no process other than simply consciousness and energy. And some forms of energy solidify and create our substance world. And we are taught how to judge to survive because, when we're born, we're very vulnerable. And then we learn how to please those who create our harmony and our comfort. We do things to please them. So we adopt all these legacy trainings that then create that gap of space within us, that void that we then fill. And we fill it with external, not internal. We look to the outside for our acknowledgement. We look out there instead of within ourselves. So this whole concept of giving up the need to be right, dropping judgment, allows us the now. It allows us to drop this profound sense that we have to achieve something external to ourselves. And we go into a state of desirelessness. And I know that in our modern world that must sound crazy, but shortly, and very shortly, we're going to find that our technologies are overtaking the things that we would normally have wanted to pursue, that those technologies will actually be the outcome. So, it's time to drop the external in favor of yourself. So anyway, there we go. I thank you for watching. I hope this makes sense.